Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to be doing a really easy, and I know I say that a lot, but this really is a pretty simple candle arrangement for the holidays. So it's easy because our base here really has done a lot of the real estate for us. So I have this 3 candle little base. I don't have these for sale, but this is something I have in my stash. But you can find these. Sometimes they'll only have 1 candle in the center. We had some of these last year with just 1. I'm going to try to get them again, but we'll see. If not, look at your Hobby Lobby, Michael's, all the places, even maybe Amazon. You might be able to find something that has some pine with the little candle holders in them. Now this one's nice and full. It was a little more expensive, but that's because I'm getting a lot of the different mixed pines. So if you see a mixed pine spray or a mixed pine candle arrangement, typically it's going to be a little bit more expensive, and that's because it's got the various mixed pines. But really you kind of save because you don't have to add as much extra greenery to it. This kind of already does it for you. I mean, if you didn't want to go, super crazy with it, this would be pretty. Just put your candles in it and you wouldn't even really have to add anything to it. Maybe just put you a couple little berries in there. But you know me, we're going to add more and more. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going in with just some of our pine sprays. And so I am going to get some of these added. I'm going to start on the end. Of course, giving things a bend down to kind of create a little bit more on my length here. So let me move these out of the way so they don't fall over the floor here. Okay, and so this is just, I already cut up some pieces, but this is just, our non-flocked pine spray. This is a staple of mine. I use it every season. I use lots of it every season. And the supplies will be listed down in the description of this video, so you can check them out there. I'm going to take some of the shorter pieces. So I saved the long pieces for the ends. The shorter pieces I'm going to start filling in more towards the front and the back. I always give my greenery a little bit of a bend. Okay, so I'm just kind of filling these in. We'll keep my long pieces for the ends. And I'm just tucking it right in that pine so that it's gluing together. I think these are all long. Here's another shorter piece. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these longer ones and I'm going to kind of go at a diagonal in here. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it this way and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. So we're just adding a little bit extra. These are all, here's a shorter piece. I may have to cut up one more just to get a couple more of the shorter pieces. You can just cut these. So actually I may do that just to save us. Well, I know I'm going to probably need some on the inside anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut up one more. And I don't know if I'm going to use these pine cones, but we'll have them if we want to add them on a pick later. So now we can keep this very natural, just with these pine, or we can go in with some flocked pine sprays as well. I did bring some. We'll play with it here in a second. I haven't quite decided if I want to keep this a non-flocked arrangement. Now my holly berries that I'm going to bring in, they do have a little bit of glittery to them, but they're not necessarily flocked, they're just kind of glittery. So we will have a little bling in here. I just don't know if I want to go fully flocked yet or not. So we'll play with it here in a second. Okay, now that I'm back on the side, I'm going to go in with my longer piece. I just knocked my ribbon over, y'all. Okay, so we filled in our length and sort of around the top. I want to go in with a couple pieces more in the center here, in between each of the candle holders. And I'm going to sort of come out. So in the center, but coming out. So it's jumping out at you. Just creating some fullness there. Okay, so I've got my two pieces sort of in between. I've got these pieces kind of coming out. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And what I have that I'm going to be offering with this listing is we have these flameless battery operated candles. So they will sit in our arrangement like this. Of course, you know, you take the packaging off of them, but we'll have the candles. So the customer can either choose to buy it without the candles because they may have their own, or they can buy them with the candles. So these will be tucked in there, and I'll have them tucked in there for my pictures. But now we've kind of got our base. It's pretty good, nice and full. We could take another one and go more towards the bottom, which I think I'm going to do. Now this is just extra. This is just me because I like to add a lot of product in my designs. You could leave it, but I'm going to take and add some pieces more towards the bottom. Okay, so let me start with a shorter piece. And so I'm going to go towards the bottom. We have a lot of this extra just kind of pine hanging in here. You guys can see. So I will go more towards the bottom of our arrangement and tuck in a few little pieces. And kind of break up those little clusters of pine in here. So I went ahead and just left the baby pine cones that's on these. I left them on there. I just took the big ones off. Okay. I'm not going to cut up another one. I just worked with what I had, and we've got a nice full base now. Lots of pine. So you could stop here at any point, at any stage you could stop. So you could stop here, you would have your candles, and it would be beautiful. But we're going to move on, or you could just maybe tuck in some little red berries. I mean, with holiday designs, I mean, the options are endless. Now, I need to decide if I want to put in some flocked greenery. All right, so we have our flocked pine. So we could add a little bit of flocking in here. So I'm going to play with it for just a second and see if I want to add some. So they just come in a bush. I'm going to cut it up. If you don't want to add the flocked, you can just leave it very natural here. Okay, so let me just tuck in without gluing. Tuck in a couple pieces and see if I like the flocking in here. I kind of do. So I won't add too many. Just a few pieces kind of tucked here and there. I think I like it. Okay, let me cut up another one. And then we'll go back and glue. Okay, so I think I like the placement on these. I'm going to go ahead and just glue them in. So we won't have too many of these. Just enough to kind of break it up a little bit. I have to remember which ones I glued in and which ones I didn't. Got to give them a little bit of a pull. Oh, this one needs to be done. Well, it might have been done, it just wasn't dry. All right, so now we're gonna add our holly berries. So we have these beautiful holly berry stems. I don't know how many of them we have left. They're selling really fast. I really love them. So I wish I kind of would have grabbed more. They're beautiful, and I'm going to keep a few of them together, and then we'll probably cut up a few just to so we can get them placed exactly where we want them. But I know on the end, I'm going to kind of place them there. I do the same thing on the other side. I'm giving them a bend down, kind of fanning them out. So now I'm going to go more towards the center, still keeping them together. So far I'm not breaking them up. Aren't those beautiful? I love them. We're going to use a lot of these, and it can get pricey, but it's going to be really, really pretty. Let me play with this one for a second. I may just go on the side. Yeah, I'm going to go on the side with the longer pieces, and we'll come back to the front. So I may cut some of those pieces up. Okay, I'm going to go on this. I'm going to do the back. Just kind of have these draping down. Beautiful. And we will have to decide here in a second if we're going to add a bow or not. I did bring some ribbon, but this is beautiful without the bow.
Yeah.
So we'll look at it in just a second, what a bow is going to look like in here. Okay, before I do the pieces right here, let's see if we want a bow. So I brought this really pretty deluxe glitter ribbon. Ooh, that is so pretty. I'm almost thinking that I do. Let's put our little candle in here. So I'm thinking we'll kind of tuck it right next to there. I think so. All right. And my ribbon just fell all across the floor. It rolled away from me. I'm going up about a ½ an inch on my loops. And with this thicker ribbon, sometimes it's easier to use the bow maker, which I probably should have done. My little hands sometimes struggle making these hand bows. We'll do 3 loops on each side, so a total of 6 loops. Okay. Now I'm going to leave my tail long until we get it in there, and then I can trim it. Just going to get a pick. All right, I'm going to get that right sort of down in between those two. We're just gonna let it sit there for a second, do its thing, but isn't that gonna be pretty? Okay, and I still have our holly we need to put around the front. Let me see if I want to add a tail on the back side of this. I think I do. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces of ribbon. And then I'm just going to take and pinch them together and create a little tail. I'm going to put them on a pick. I'm using my steel pick machine, but you can use a wooden pick to do this. I got too much stuff on my table over here, y'all. I'm knocking over everything. I'm going to have to clean this table off. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so I've got my little tails on a pick, and I'm going to go right down in there. Okay, so we've got some tails. We will mess with them in a second, letting that glue dry and do its thing. On our front tails, we can have them together. Let me see how I want them. Have our tails together, or we could have them kind of separated. I kind of like it separated. Okay, I'm going to hit this pipe cleaner and all that in there. And we're going to go in the last greenery. We still have these to fill in around it, but my last greenery, I'm going to be adding a little bit of this juniper. Just a little bit, just one bush. So let's get a couple pieces. We can anchor our bow with them. I say one bush. We may actually use 2. I'm going to take this berry piece and go right. I'm going to put it on a pick and go right next to our bow. And that's going to help cover our little mechanics with our pipe cleaner. And sort of anchor that in there. And then just kind of weave some of those berries through. Okay, now let me take another piece and I'm going to go right next to where we added those tails. So it looks like it's just still all part of the bow, just kind of coming out there. Okay, so I have these tucked in right here. I have another piece tucked in right there. Let's get and cut this piece down here. I'm I want to still be mindful of our candle. Yes, okay. So we're going to add this little cluster right there, straight down. So bring in a little bit of another texture there. Got a couple more pieces. I'm going to bring, let me see where I want this other berry. We have it on that side. So I initially want to kind of go diagonal, so I'm thinking we're going to tuck it in back here, but I kind of want it to, I kind of want to see it. So I think we're going to tuck it in the front, or what I'm calling the front. Really can go either way. So okay, I'm going to get another little piece, So I am going to go ahead and use 2 junipers because I want to get a few more pieces tucked in there. I'm going to break it up and cut it into a couple pieces here. I'm leaving them kind of clustered. Sometimes I'll break them up and have just like little baby pieces. This time I'm going to leave them kind of clustered. Just really depends on the arrangement. So we've got a piece there. I want a piece over here, breaking up this pine section down here. Okay, I'm going to get another. I'm going to go in with one of the little berry pieces and add some to the back. Okay, let's add a piece right here. Actually, I have a couple little pieces that came off, so I'm just going to put it on a pick. Now I have another little piece. Now let me make sure my candle's still good. Okay. I have one more little berry piece. Okay, I think we're going to add it. Let me see. I'm going to add it up underneath those loops. Kind of give it some support. All right, now, oh, I found one more little piece. We're gonna use it. All right, now let's cut up one of our little berry sprays. Well, we're gonna cut up 2 probably, but so that we can get them in the front here where we want them. Now I don't want this huge cluster, so I'm just going to cut the little stems so that I can get smaller little sections. I have little sections. And we will work with our tails here in just a second. Still kind of waffling. I don't know whether or not I want these tails separate or together. I like it both ways, I just don't know. And what I mean by separate or together, like do I want them fanned out or do I want to pull them and have them kind of hanging, you know, more together? Haven't decided yet. Okay, let's get one more. Well, hang on, I got one more little piece here. That's not going to be enough for the back. I think I'm going to put this one more towards the center there. And I just chunked something on the floor again. Y'all, I need a bigger table. I need one double the size. All right, I'm gonna cut this one up again. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the back side here. Okay, and I have one little more piece. Let me see where I want it. I think we're gonna go up underneath this tail here. So it has something to kind of, so I went up underneath this tail, so it has something to, this tail now has something to kind of lay on. All right, so let's cut our tails. I think I'm going to leave these separated. They kind of just naturally are doing that and it looks really good. I'm gonna cut my ribbon at a diagonal. Let's go this way. I'm going to cut these at a diagonal and I'm leaving them kind of long because the greenery kind of raises them up a little bit. So we don't want to cut them too short. All right, there we go. And put our little candles in there. And we have a beautiful little candle arrangement. Not too difficult. I know I said it was super easy, and to me it was easy. If you're a beginner, it might be a little bit more difficult, but really we're just layering those in there. That beginning piece that we worked with had all that mixed pine in there, so it really did help. We just kind of went in with our first pine all the way around, okay, and then we went in with a little bit of these holly berries. We did our ends, we did the diagonals, we saved the centers for last. Okay, then we added our bow, and then we added 2 of these little juniper bushes in here. Just kind of tuck them in. Just kind of look and see where you might need a little bit of love. Maybe you have a little hole. And then really that's it. You have your candles, and I think it turned out beautifully. So I hope you guys enjoyed this beautiful little candle arrangement. You can offer it with or without the candles if you're going to sell something like this. But if you are new to our channel, we would love to have you subscribe, hit that little notification bell. You'll be notified every time we have new tutorials. We are so happy you are here. Don't forget, in the description will be links to all of the products, as well as a link to our private design group. Until next time, bye y'all.